My guest today is Amy Doyle Sanchez, and she is the owner of Lift 3 Fitness. And their message is inspiring others to live their best life. Amy is a perfect example of this because she inspires and motivates others to live their best life and believes that we can all change the world by building healthy and fit communities. She has an MS in sports medicine from the University of Miami, and she's a certified strength and conditioning specialist from the National Strength and Conditioning Association. She's married and has a 7-year-old daughter, and she loves family, football, tennis, reading to her daughter, and how she feels after a great workout. And I have to admit, Amy lives in my building, and that's how I met her. I met her actually in the gym. So we've become friends, and I go to events with her, and I thought she would make a fantastic guest. So welcome, Amy.
Well, thank you, Gail. And I have to admit that I'm very touched and moved by the fact that you invited me to be on your radio show. So I want to thank you for doing that.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? I mean, how did you get into fitness? What were you interested in the beginning? Did you start off on a different path? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I grew up, playing sports. Tennis was my lifelong love. That's why, I put that on there and watching football. But I really, originally, dreamed about becoming a biologist and really studying ecology. So that was my original degree. And I got out of school, started working for a couple of years in it, and it just wasn't motivating, inspiring. So then I tried to work in an office, went and worked as admin and a meeting event planner, that kind of thing, and for a couple of different nonprofits. And there still was something missing. And all this time I was studying and learning and, about fitness and being in the gym. So I finally decided to take a leap of faith and completely change what I was doing and went back to school at University of Miami. And that's when I got my degree and then got out of that and started working at a small personal training studio initially. And I worked some other places. And at one point I actually got a little burnout, I have to admit. And I got out of fitness for a little bit. And I even tried to become a professional cake decorator because my other passion was baking. I didn't put that in there. Loved doing that growing up with my mom. So I was moved and inspired by that for a little while. And it got to a point where it became not fun. And something, I don't know what it was, I can't put my finger on it, but really got sparked again that interest of fitness. And I think a friend of mine, she asked me to do it for free. And I started doing it for free for her when I wasn't doing it professionally anymore. And I just got back into it and realized that is where, my life was. And cake decorating wasn't doing it for me. Fitness and cake decorating does not mix.
I was just going to say that is so, I don't know that. I didn't know that about you. And I thought, oh, wow, cake decorating. Of course, I do like to eat cake. I have to admit that I do like to eat cake. And I work out like crazy trying and hoping that it'll come off from that. Yeah. But, you mentioned something that's really important for anybody who's listening to this to pay attention to. And that's the fact that so many people go to school for what they think they want. And they train in a particular area because really that's what colleges require. You have to have a major, and then they get out in the work world, and it isn't really what they want to do. And since this is a show about living regret-free, I want to encourage everybody, if you find out that what you studied for and what you've paid all that hard-earned money for, or your parents have paid hard-earned money for, is not what you really want to do, then you do have to take a leap of faith and see what else, is something that you are interested in. So, since I so believe in fitness, how do you feel about the impact that fitness has on your personal life?
Oh my God, it's huge. I mean, fitness for me, growing up, it gave me confidence in my body, in my abilities. I never had any body image issues because I was always active, and I have to say, it also just relieves that stress from life. And I know when I haven't worked out in like 2 or 3 days because I get stir crazy. And then all of a sudden I realize I forgot to work out, because I didn't put it in my schedule or something. And just keeps me sane and keeps me focused. And so it's not just about me, with the way I look. It did start out that way. But it really, that's not the root of it. It's the stress, it's the focus, sanity, confidence, down deep that really matters.
Well, so this is a show about regret-free living. So what does that mean to you? And how do you go about living a regret-free life?
Regret free is really creating your life and making your life what you want it to be, not what society thinks you should be doing or maybe other people in your life think you should be doing. It's really listening to your intuition and what calls you. Also taking complete responsibility for your choices and or actions or even inactions. You know, when you don't do something, that still is a choice, and you're still responsible for that. It's also spending time with people that really matter the most to me, and being around them and absorbing them and making the time worthwhile. Not necessarily the amount of time, but it's the quality of time. Surrounding myself with positivity is another big one. With even my Facebook feed. Like, I don't have junk on there. I have people on there that inspire me and motivate me. I read good books. I meditate here and there. I journal. It's really just being a positive, responsible person. That's the biggest thing for me.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Facebook because we just started a happy club on Facebook. Yes, yes. So we started, it's called the Happy Club, and anybody who wants to join can join. There's no charge or anything, of course. And I'm doing it because there are so many negative messages out there that I thought I'm just going to start a happy club, and everything we post on there is happy.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing because I just so believe in that. And what you're talking about, Amy, is really mindset. Some people call it attitude, some people call it belief, but it's mindset. It's how you start your day. It's how your philosophy is. It's how you look at things. So, how important do you think mindset is, and how do you keep the right mindset? Because, of course, I personally believe that exercise or fitness or whatever it is you do, whether it's tennis or aerobics or Zumba or swimming or walking or yoga or Pilates or whatever it is, as long as you're doing something that's fitness.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can have a great mindset if you don't take care of your body. But give us your idea about what the right mindset is.
Well, it goes, the foundation of anything you do starts with your mindset, whether it's fitness, losing weight, creating a business, having a happy home life. If you're, whatever you think you can do or can't do, you're right. And that's a quote by Henry Ford. And it just says it all right there, mindset. So it's the foundation really for anything that you want to go after or create. Um, it's really defining also your purpose and what it is you're creating. If it's, if you're trying to lose weight, it's like, okay, why? And continuing to ask yourself why until you get to the root of it. Sometimes you have to ask that why 5 times before you get to the root. Usually people want to lose weight because they want to, lose weight and weigh less and look good. But there's usually a deeper reason in there. And once you get to that deeper reason and you have that out in front of you, when you get confronted or something gets in the way of you getting to that point or reaching that goal, you go back to that root of purpose or why or mindset attitude that you can lean on and make the right choice and be able to continue to move forward even in any kind of setback. So
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Henry Ford. I was just listening to a CD in my car of a guy who's a friend of mine. He's a speaker, and one of his clients was friends with Ford and Charles Lindbergh and Thomas Edison and Firestone, and it was really a fascinating interview. And he was talking about how Ford, when he got the idea to build a car, he first came in and asked, could he get these 4 tires, and that's how he met Firestone. And they had to go looking for the kind of tire that he wanted because they just weren't popular at that time. And he said, "Oh, I'll be back for more." And then he started, instead of the four tires, he ordered like 30,000 tires a day or something like that. It was just really fascinating to listen to this whole thing. So it really is. It's mindset, it's determination,
yeah.
and it's doing things for the right reasons and your reasons, as you said, and not anyone else's. So let me ask you, what are some of your best practices?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. I one of my biggest ones is having a coach or a mentor to guide you, especially if you're going into new territory. And it doesn't have to be someone in person. It could be through a book or through a podcast or through a radio show like listening to you, Gail. So, it doesn't have to be someone in person. And really also tracking what you're doing. If you have goals set, writing that down. The goals, if you keep them in your head, are just like marbles rattling around in your head. When you write them down on paper is when it makes them real. And then you start tracking your actions. So if you track, because then you can see, are you making moves towards those goals or are you going away? So then you can make adjustments. A lot of times people think it's like right or wrong, and they, make themselves wrong for not making the right actions and going in the wrong direction. And so then they start beating themselves up. It's not about that. It's about, okay, whoops, let's get back on track here. And really, the other big one is taking time for yourself. A lot of us, we do so many things for other people and we put ourselves last, and then we end up having nothing left for us. And it really should be the other way around, because no one can take better care of you than you. And nobody will, despite what you think. So you take the best care of yourself. So taking that time for yourself. And of course, getting down to enough sleep on a regular basis, eating a clean diet majority of the time. And of course, your regular exercise.
Well, it's funny you mentioned goal setting, because, again, I think that is so important. As a matter of fact, I've been asked to do a training session next month on goal setting for a large community organization. But again, the goal should be yours and not anyone else's.
Yeah.
And you are so right in saying taking care of yourself first. I mean, everybody uses the example of the airlines, put your own mask on first and then go to your child. But
Yep.
It's the same thing. I mean, there are so many. I think that's one of the reasons caretakers wear out, because they're taking care of people and not taking care of themselves. And first you have to take care of you, and then you can do all kinds of things for other people. So
Exactly.
I know that some of the values that you live by are making sure that you're a priority yourself in your life, and that being fit and healthy is the foundation of your best life, and attitude determines your altitude. You say be positive, soar to new heights. Tell us, what are the values you live by?
Well, number one, staying positive. That's huge, because you start beating yourself up or listen to that voice in your head, and that voice in your head is not very nice most of the time if you really listen to it. So really just continuing to feed yourself with positive messages, and surrounding yourself with positive people who support you and lift you up. And also, people who see you, who you can become, is huge. That's why like a mentor and a coach comes into play, because you may not be able to see that person down the road, but someone else can. And having them continue to carry you through that fog till you get there is very important. Love and compassion is huge. I mean, what's life without that? I mean, that's just like, why else would you want to be alive unless you're loving people and compassion for people and caring? Honesty and authenticity is another really big one. If you're not the true person, if you're not true to yourself, you can't be true to other people.
Well, you know what you're saying, I have met Amy walking down my hallway to take care of a neighbor's cat, and she, the cat is not a nice cat either,
Yep.
and but she does that when they go out of town, which is a kind of exemplary of the kind of thing that she's talking about, doing good deeds for others, because you want to do them, not because you have to do them, but because
Right.
you want to do them,
Yeah.
and so that's all a part of being, I think, the kind of person who does live regret-free. And, you also mentioned, Amy, and I so believe in this too, that you can be mentored by books. I mean, there are some really high-level people that you probably will never get the opportunity to meet, but they've written books, or they've given lectures, or they've got a presence on social media. You can find out things about them and what they believe and how they run their life and how they run their business by what is out there that you can read. So give us one or two of your favorite books.
Oh, my biggest one is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Oh, yeah, I read that. That's a good book. Yes.
Love him. Love